What begins as simple learning eventually becomes science. But there's one layer deeper still. Wonder. Awe is the emotional response to encountering something vast, something beyond our immediate comprehension. A mountain range, a star-filled sky, the Grand Canyon seen for the first time. That feeling of scale, of smallness, of being momentarily overwhelmed by the size of things. Wonder is awe combined with curiosity. It doesn't just feel the vastness, it asks about it. What is this? How does it work? Why is it here? Wonder may be among the most powerful forces ever produced by evolution. Because exploration, real exploration, the kind that changes civilizations, is what happens when wonder takes action. But here's where I want to slow down. Because intelligence does not come free. The human brain represents roughly 2% of body weight, but it consumes approximately 20% of the body's total energy at rest, just to exist, just to maintain the electrical gradients, the chemical balances, this ceaseless processing that underlies single conscious moment. Evolution does not make investments like that casually. In my book, in my book, Earth, the Goldilocks Planet, I argue that intelligence is not merely a biological phenomenon. It is fundamentally an energetic one. A biosphere must first acquire enough surplus energy to support large, metabolically expensive brains. Then it must sustain those brains, not for a generation, but across evolutionary time, across ecological change, across whatever the planet throws at the creature trying to survive on it. This is what I call the energy ladder, and intelligence is not the first rung. It is somewhere near the top, built upon billions of years of prior energetic achievement. Photosynthesis had to appear, oxygen had to accumulate, complex cells had to form, multicellular life had to diversify. Ecosystems had to generate enough surplus that some species could afford energetically to grow enormous brains and sustain them. Most living worlds, I suspect, never make it that far. Which brings me to the dolphin. Dolphins are intelligent, genuinely, measurably, impressively intelligent. They communicate. They recognize themselves in mirrors. They solve problems. They play. There is something in a dolphin's eye. Anyone who has spent time near them knows it, that suggests a mind. But dolphins don't want to go to the moon. Not because they lack intelligence, but because intelligence on its own is not enough. Technology requires manipulation, hands capable of grasping, building, assembling. It requires control of fire, that first external energy technology that changed everything for our ancestors. It requires the accumulation of knowledge across generations in a form that can be built upon. And it requires long-term energy surplus. That's the margin above survival that allows some individuals to specialize, to experiment, to do things that don't feed anyone immediately, but eventually change everything. Dolphins are intelligent, but the ocean, however rich, does not provide the scaffolding for civilization. This is the thread that runs through everything I write. The Drake equation, that elegant framework Frank Drake put on a chalkboard in 1961, gives us a way to estimate how many civilizations might exist in the galaxy. But it asks primarily about emergence. How often does life begin? How often does intelligence arise? What it does not fully capture is persistence. What must happen for intelligence to endure, to accumulate complexity, to become technological, and to remain so long enough to be detected? In Earth, the Goldilocks planet, I propose what I call the Adair extension, a second filter layered onto Drake's framework. The idea is straightforward. Even if intelligence arises with some regularity, Only a fraction of those intelligent species will exist on worlds where the full energetic infrastructure for civilization is available. The stored ancient sunlight, the accessible chemistry, the planetary stability, the geologic fortune required to power a technological society. That fraction, F of energy, may be very small. And when you multiply it across Drake's already uncertain numbers, the silence of the sky begins to make a different kind of sense. The universe may contain countless living worlds, worlds with chemistry, with oceans, with single-celled life, cycling endlessly in warm, dark seas, perhaps even worlds with creatures that are perceptive, aware, conscious, gazing at their own star with something like wonder. But worlds capable of producing creatures that ask questions about the universe itself, that write the questions down, pass them forward, build instruments to seek answers, and reach toward other stars. That may be something far rarer. And if that is true, then what happened here, on this water-covered rock, orbiting an unremarkable star, in an outer arm of an ordinary galaxy, may be one of the most extraordinary events in the 4 billion year history of a cosmos that has been running experiments in complexity since the beginning of time. We are not an accident, but we may be very nearly a miracle. I'm Terry Adair. This has been another exploration of the Adair Hypothesis and the ideas at the heart of my books. Where Are the Little Green Men? And Earth, the Goldilocks Planet. If these ideas move something in you, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you wonder about. Tell me what keeps you looking up. Because the questions are the point. They always have been.